Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Leadership Project Live. Today's topic is going to be about leading with empathy. Make sure you stick around to the end, where I'm going to be giving you some really positive tips about traps that you can avoid, some things that you should not do if you want to be able to lead with empathy. And these are common mistakes that many of us make. Stick around, enjoy the show. I'm going to sum it up here with this great quote from Teddy Roosevelt. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This is what empathy is all about, demonstrating to our teams that we've got their back. This is also where trust lives. For someone to trust us, they need to feel that we have their best interest at heart, that we're not self-serving, that we truly care about them as a human being, as an individual, as a team member, that we have their interest at heart in the decisions that we make. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When they know that you care for them, this is when they're going to go above and beyond. They're going to knock it out of the park in the comfort that their leader has got their interest at heart. This is all part of the fabric of what we call emotional intelligence. And I'm here to tell you that emotional intelligence is the number one predictor of your success in life, as an individual, and as a leader. It's more powerful than anything else. EQ is more important than your IQ. It's your ability to work with other human beings that makes the difference. Emotional intelligence is more like a muscle. It can be trained. It can be developed. It can be worked on over time. So this is a worthwhile investment, something that you can work on every single day to build your emotional intelligence. Now, there's 5 focus areas around emotional intelligence, and clearly today, leading with empathy, we'll be focusing on one. But bear with me as I give a little bit of background on the others. So self-awareness. Self-awareness is our ability to tap into our own emotion and to understand it, to be able to notice and name emotion when it comes into our life, to understand what is this emotion, why this emotion now. These are all things around our self-awareness. Self-management or regulation is our ability to regulate those emotions. Now, the word is regulate, not suppress. This is not about suppressing your emotion. It's about regulating your emotion to best outcome. One of my favorite quotes from Aristotle is that anyone can get angry. That is easy. But to get angry with the right person at the right time for the right reason, in the right way, to the right degree, that is not easy. So it's about emotional regulation, not about suppressing emotion. It's about understanding our emotion and then regulating it for whatever outcome it is that we're trying to achieve at a given moment. Self-management is about having an effective emotional response rather than an instant emotional reaction. And one of my favorite quotes from T.D. Jakes is to never make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. This comes down to this whole thought concept of self-management. Self-motivation is the ability to elevate ourselves through those emotions. And Michael Jordan is a classic example of this, to be able to tap into emotion around him to elevate his performance. So this is about using emotion in a way to propel us forward, to motivate us, to make sure that we're managing our stress levels so that we are pushing ourselves with a little bit of stress that maximizes our performance, but not so much stress that we capitulate and we freeze, or we fight, flight, or freeze, that we have some kind of reaction that doesn't serve us well at that moment. The next one is empathy, and that's our topic for today. And this is about our understanding of other people's emotions. And we're going to unpack the 3 types of empathy in today's discussion, and then go a bit deeper on how you use empathy as a leader. And finally is relationships. Relationships is then how we do that with a group, with other human beings. How do we connect? How do we connect with emotion, our emotion, their emotion, the group's emotion, so that we have healthy relationships. Healthy relationships based on the healthy expression of emotion, the healthy understanding of emotion, the healthy tapping into emotion for virtuous effect. This is the point about relationships. Do we know really deeply what empathy means? There's our ability to recognize emotion in others. And there's 3 types of empathy that we're going to unpack. Cognitive empathy is the ability to understand someone else's perspective, to see the world through their eyes, to see what they're seeing, to understand what they're seeing. Emotional empathy is then to understand how they feel, seeing the whole of the person, the emotion of the situation, to put yourself in their shoes again, but now from an emotional perspective. If I was in their shoes, what would I be feeling? And why would I be feeling that? And the final one is what we call empathic concern. This is closely related to compassion, and it relates to our want to help. This is really getting in now to the idea that we might get into the hole next to them and start digging alongside them. It might even go to the point of wanting to solve the problem for them. And I've got some words of caution coming up about that in a few moments. It's the want to do something. This is really similar to a parent's love for a child. You never want to see your child going through tough times. You don't want to see them hurt. You don't want to see them angry. You don't want to see them concerned. So your heart goes out to them and you want to fix it. Now, what are the words of caution here? The most important thing here is that we need to think about what is going to serve this person well. Let me start with, as a leader, some of the areas of concern. If you're an empath, let's call it that, someone that has a lot of empathic concern and is always wanting to solve other people's problems, what happens is a transference. So the other person might feel really good because they've offloaded and downloaded their problems to you and you've promised to fix those problems for them, but now it's you that's going home with a heavy sack of problems at the end of the day and you're starting to get weighed down. If you're a team leader with 7 team members and all of them are going through some tough times at the moment, instead of 7 people having some issues, you're going home with 7 people's issues on your back. So you've got to be careful with your own management here around empathic concern. The first one in empathy, and this is going to sound counterproductive to some of you, is to avoid labeling someone else's emotion. If someone presents to you and they seem angry, what we don't want to do is say, "You seem angry right now," because they may not be. So rather than labeling someone else's emotion, what we try to do is ask better questions. We ask questions through the use of what we call clean language. We also need to be careful not to invalidate someone else's emotions. A really classic trap to fall into here is the words, "Don't worry," or "There's no need to worry about this. What are you worried about?" You're invalidating someone else's emotion. This is another one that can go wrong in all kinds of ways. Saying someone, "Don't worry," they could interpret it in a few things. Similar to what I said about anger before, they might go, "Oh, I wasn't worried. Should I be worried?" And all of a sudden they're worried when there was no worry there before. Stephen Covey, famous 7 Habits, one of my favorites. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This sums up empathy beautifully. Give someone a good, deep listening to. Make sure that they get everything off their chest. Get curious and ask them a few questions. Tell me more about that. Practice some active listening where you say, "Oh, I hear you saying you're frustrated. What's frustrating about this?" So get curious, but don't label their emotions. Like I said before, let them label the emotion. Then you look to understand what makes this important to you. There's a bit of a gender situation here where men tend to be problem solvers and women tend to want to talk about problems and get things off their chest. But this could be woman to woman as well, or man to man. If a friend comes to you and they're having problems and they want to download, your tendency to dive in there and fix the problem for them may not be what they want. So another tip that I'll give you is, if you're in one of those situations with a friend that trusts you and comes to you for guidance, etc., at the start of the conversation, ask them this question: how would you like me to help you today? Do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to help solve the problem? And there's many times the person just wants you to listen to them and be there for them. And maybe ask a few questions. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to feel valued. They want to feel that they matter to you. So let's get out there. Let's lead with empathy. Let's embrace all of these things that we're talking about. Let's embrace the cognitive empathy to be able to see what someone else is seeing. Let's embrace the emotional empathy to understand what someone else is feeling. And let's use our empathic concern to always ask ourselves a question: what action is going to serve them best?